Welcome back. We're about to show you some disturbing video. It's going viral on X. It shows a crowd beating a man and then a woman on the streets of Cincinnati, Ohio. Here's how it started. And again, this is a tough watch. All right, and as if that wasn't brutal enough, the next clip shows a man knock a woman out. It's unbelievable. Watch. It's also disturbing. Everything around it, from the carnival atmosphere, the cheering on, the cursing, and of course, the violence. It's so disturbing it got the attention of Vice President J.D. Vance. He said this when asked about it during a stop in Ohio today.
As you had a grown man who sucker punched a middle-aged woman, that person ought to go to jail for a very long time. And frankly, he's lucky there weren't some better people around, because they would have handled it themselves. And the only way to destroy that street violence is to take the thugs who engage in that violence and throw their in prison.
All right, police have identified 4 potential suspects so far. But one of the most disturbing parts of this, as I mentioned, is how many people just stood around, watched, not calling 911. What country? I can see what city. I know what state. What country are we living in? Joining me now is Ken Cover, president of Cincinnati's Fraternal Order of Police. And I appreciate you being here with us. And it's not to insult your city, but this is intolerable. It doesn't belong on any American street. It honestly doesn't belong in any civilized society. And I saw a quote by you, Ken, where you said, what you see in this video and the behavior around there is people that fear no repercussions. Tell me why they would fear no repercussions.
Well, you know, Cincinnati and Hamilton counties are really at a crossroads. What kind of city and county do we want to be? Because right now you have about half the judges that support law and order, and then you have half of them that just don't, that are being the cashless bail, the soft on crime. And this is a result of that. I mean, these people fear no consequences. And until that changes, unfortunately, we're going to see more things like this.
There's so many different, honestly, beyond the law and order element of this, Ken, and there is a law and order element of this. I know that 911, they may have received one call during this when you can see there's dozens, if not hundreds of people around the incident. But there's also so many cultural implications going on here. I don't know. I don't know how you were raised. I can tell you this. Any situation, A, where a man hits a woman, or B, where 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 guys are ganging up on one, nobody involved in that is tough. Nobody involved in that is a man. And it says something rotten about any culture that produces individuals who think somehow this is tough.
Yeah, these people clearly have no morals. You know, they have no morals. They don't care about themselves. They don't care about others. And this is certainly a problem that we're seeing time and time again. And it's something that is just disgusting. We saw the worst that Cincinnati has to offer that morning.
And look, it's our job to tell the truth, and the truth requires you to state the obvious. There is a racial component to what we're watching on our screen right now. The 2 victims on the screen appear to be white. Most of the assailants appear to be black. And if we played the game of reversing this, and we have in some instances, there would be a national outcry and rage about the races involved in this incident. But here we have it reversed, and it asks some serious questions about us as a society.
Sure. You know, these investigators are certainly looking into that as being a component of why this occurred. And that's yet to be determined, I believe. But I mean, you look at it at face value and certainly could understand why you would draw that conclusion.
Well, at this point, I don't know what conclusions are to be drawn, but to ask some very serious questions and to be irresponsible not to ask those questions out of fear of invoking race, when this is what we're watching happening on the streets of Cincinnati, and I don't care where you live, I was just talking to somebody that works here, Ken. I don't know that this would happen on the streets of Texas. It might not. but there would be someone step in. There's a lot of people armed in the state of Texas or many other states across this country that don't have to wait for the police. I don't know what's going on in Ohio.
No, you're right. And if there would have been some better people that were part of that, it probably would have ended differently. But it just shows you that whole mob mentality. That's exactly what we saw. And I wish there would have been one person in the crowd that decided that they were going to step in and actually, be an adult, be a man, and not allow something like this to happen.
You said it right. It's a mob mentality. It takes courage and bravery to step up against a mob. It takes zero to be part of a mob. And unfortunately, we're run short on that courage and bravery right now. Ken, thank you so much for being with us.
Yep, thank you for having me.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.